Sometimes the best stories in golf aren't found on tour. You'll find them at the back of the range. And here's your host, Ben Adelberg.
And thank you again for joining me here at the Back of the Range Golf Podcast. I am your host, Ben Adelberg, and this is episode 27. If you want to learn more about our podcast, where you can download episodes, head over to thebackoftherange.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You'll find that information in the show notes of this podcast. We had a Florida golf legend on the podcast last week, and I hope that everyone enjoyed Bob Toski's episode. This week, we have another legend, but not from Florida. This week, we head to Iowa. Iowa? Yes, we head to Iowa. So your knowledge of prominent Iowa golfers may start and stop with Zach Johnson. We all know his story. He toiled on the mini tours for years after playing at Drake University. And as many of you already know, the Cedar Rapids native went on to win the Masters, the Open Championship, and he's competed on several Ryder Cup and President's Cup teams. But there's also another gentleman out of Iowa that has an equally impressive story to share, and that's why Gene Elliott is our guest this week at the Back of the Range. So I could give you his entire list of golf achievements, but I want to get to the interview as quickly as possible. So I'm just going to mention this one number for you all to keep in mind, 30. Now, I'm not going to ruin the surprise of the significance of that number, but while you're listening to Gene's episode, remember that number, 30. I guarantee that when you figure it out and you see what that number means, you're going to say to yourself just what I did. Holy shit, are you kidding me? Because that's what I did. So before we get to the episode, special thanks to Clint Brown and the entire team at the Iowa Golf Association. They're the ones responsible for putting me together with Gene. They do a fantastic job growing the game of golf in the state of Iowa. As you know, that's a big thing we try and do here with the podcast as well. You can learn more about the Iowa Golf Association at iowagolf.org. And as always, I'll put those links in the show notes of this podcast episode. So at this time, it's a thrill to welcome the number one ranked senior amateur in the country, Gene Elliott, to the Back of the Range Golf Podcast. Gene, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Ben. It's nice to be with you.
Well, I appreciate you making the time. You've been just a gallivanting all over the country, playing a bunch of amateur golf. I know you've been through the state of Iowa, where you currently live. But tell me about the last few weeks. Where you've been playing?
Well, the last few weeks have been busy. Actually, the last 14 months have been busy. But we had the Concession Cup down at the Concession Golf Club in Sarasota, Florida. 16 of the best mid-ams, senior ams, and 2 super seniors from the U.S. versus the same for Great Britain and Ireland. And it's a concept thought by Alan Fidel and Vinnie Giles. It's kind of like a mid-am senior Walker Cup.
Sure.
And that was held down at the Concession. They had it in 2014, 2016, and then 2018. I played as a mid-am in 14, and then this year as a senior. And hopefully it goes overseas in 2 years. But Jack Nicklaus and Tony Jacklin are very supportive of it, and they attend and they have a big dinner and gala on Tuesday night that week, and they raised $300,000 for charity, and it's just a great event. And it's just like the Ryder Cup with 4-ball matches, foursome matches, and then singles matches, and our team was very strong. We played very well, and we whipped them pretty good. But it was very competitive. So
I'm really glad that you brought that up. How much that we whipped them by, because yeah, it was pretty brutal. And yeah, I had some of my buddies from the Florida State Golf Association were there, and yeah, they said that we had Parziale, we had the reigning U.S. Mid-Am champ, and gosh, the names of who was there, and just, I mean, every strong U.S. Mid-Am and U.S. senior player. It just seemed like we just had a murderer's row of players up there.
Well, and Vinnie Giles, the opening deal, he told them that to begin with. He said, not apologizing for this team. This is about the best we could put together," he said, and he says, we're pretty tough. So he let them know right away that it was going to be a challenge for him, and as only Vinny could do. So, yeah, it was a great week, really a good week on both sides. Everybody we played with was a fine player and a gentleman. And it was a lot of fun.
Well, I'm thrilled that you're able to join us as a member of that victorious U.S. team. Just to give our listeners, I have your litany of accomplishments as an amateur, and we're going to get into some other ones. But the number 29, does that ring a bell at all for you?
The number 29. You got me there.
Okay. You got a lot of people too, because I don't know how many people have 29 USGA championship appearances. You've played in the U.S. Junior, U.S. Am, U.S. Mid-Am, U.S. Men's State Team, U.S. Four-Ball, U.S. Senior, and the U.S. Senior Amateur and the U.S. Senior Open. And I guess the big question to me is, why aren't you at 30 and you're only at 29? Can you explain yourself?
Well, I'm exempt for the Senior Am this year, so I'll definitely get to 30 this year in August. So, to play in any USGA event is quite a thrill, and I'm to play in 29 of them, that's hard to fathom. I have friends who have played in a lot more, but others have just played in maybe one or two, and they're all precious. And
sure.
To play for a national championship, and I came close to getting in an Open years ago, a U.S. Open, but I lost in a playoff once. It was first alternate a couple times, but never got that one. And I cherish every one of them, and have had a little bit of success. Haven't got a gold medal yet, but we're still working on that.
Good. Well, before we get back into exactly what what you're currently working on, what you're currently accomplishing, so you're been playing golf in Iowa for quite a long time. So tell me a little bit about your college days, your high school days playing in Iowa. Tell me how you got started.
Yeah, I was actually born in a small town, Fairfield, Iowa, southeast Iowa, that had a 9-hole golf course, and I played all sports as a kid, and played a little bit of golf there. But we moved to the Quad Cities when I was 10 years old, and my father joined a club there after a couple of years, and when I was like 11, 12 years old, I played in a few little junior tournaments, and it was just another sport back then. And I found out I had a little bit of success, and when I became 14 going into high school, I qualified for the high school team as a freshman, varsity as a freshman, and we got a new pro to Pearl Valley Golf Club, and his name was Butch Harmon. And we didn't know who he was or anything, and we were just kids, and after learning a little bit about him, his dad won the Masters.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. We went to a pro junior, the Iowa Pro Junior together, and Butch could play. He's a former PGA Tour champ. He won the VC Open in New York in his playing days, and Butch was, we thought he was an old man, but he was probably in his, early to mid 30s. And we went to Iowa Pro Junior, and we won. And I think the next year we went and we won. And he said, I got to find some national pro juniors to take you guys, because we had a good group of little players. And we went into Chicago, we went to the Chicago District Pro Junior. We won that. And Butch, he has this magnetism, and he still, to this day. And when you're just around him, you feel like you can do anything. You feel like you're invincible. And I can vividly remember the Pro Junior in Iowa, and it's 3 juniors in the pro, and we were playing, and the other 2 kids have trouble on this hole, the par 5, and I was in the fairway, and Butch comes walking over to me, and I said, okay, I know, he's going to tell me to just lay it up in front of the green and pitch it on and make a par,
Sure.
And he came up to me, he called me Mantis. My nickname in high school was Mantis. He said, Butch gave it to me. He said, I looked like a praying mantis when I was standing over the golf ball. And he said, Mantis, I want you to take this 3-wood and knock it right in the middle of the green. I mean, you were afraid not to, and I got up and I hit that thing on the green and I 2-putted for birdie. And he just makes you feel like you can do anything. And looking back and looking at all the accomplishments he's had with, Davis Love and Greg Norman and Tiger Woods and all these people, I think he has this ability to just make them think that they can do superhuman things. And he's taken a lot of guys to number 1 in this game.
Sure.
And Butch was there, Crow Valley, for about 5 years, and then he moved on and became the teacher that everybody knows. But he was just another, club pro that we just happened to have at the time. And he's quite a character and a lot of fun. And we're still stay in touch a little bit, not much, but I run into him once in a while here or there. And but those were my high school days. We had great teams. 4 people on our high school team turned pro.
Wow.
So we always had strong high school teams, and we won the state high school championship, and I won the individual my senior year, and went to the University of Iowa on a scholarship after I graduated high school. And the Big Ten golf is a great conference, and I never was a great college player. I kind of had a homemade swing, and I would get hot and play well, and I won some small college tournaments, but I was never an All-American. I was never even Big Ten, all Big Ten, but it was kind of like I was just always close, but never good enough. I won some things, but nothing that big. So although I did, between high school and college, I won the Western Junior, which was a big national tournament back then. It was, they didn't have the AJGA and all these things, so the Western Junior was a big event, and when I won that, all of a sudden, boy, I'm getting letters from all these hot golf schools, and I'd already committed to Iowa, and I already had my dorm picked out, all these things. So I never really looked at going anywhere else. But Iowa was great. And, I'm an Iowa boy and born and raised, and it was a good experience. But I never really got any better in college. And when I got out of college, my parents had a condo down in Florida at Greenleaf, and there was a teacher down there that had a little tiny studio and was thinking about maybe turning pro. I probably, in hindsight, I was crazy, but I thought, hey, maybe I can make a living at this, and the only reason I went down there was because my parents had a condo, and the teacher's name was David Ledbetter, and
so you go from Harmon to Ledbetter. I mean, where the hell is where's Hank Haney, and where all these other guys hiding? So and I definitely want to hear about your working with Ledbetter, but before we get to that, I just wanted to touch on one question. You mentioned that you didn't light it up in college. You were a decent college player, but didn't set the world on fire. We have a lot of listeners that are either playing collegiately right now or getting ready to do that, or, a lot of people around college golf. We've interviewed some college coaches. Can you touch on why you think it was that you just weren't really lighting the world on fire? Was it just trying to balance the coursework? Was it just was there any specific reason looking back that you felt that maybe was it the competition? What do you think it was?
I just wasn't consistent enough.
Okay.
You know, I just my golf swing wasn't good enough to play good day in and day out. And you know, sometimes putting can take you through a round, and putting can win you a golf tournament. It doesn't matter how you hit it. And you know, I would have days when, you know, I would hit it well and stuff, but I had a very handsy swing.
Okay.
And it just wasn't consistent enough I remember playing in a tournament in Florida with Chris Perry. He was at Ohio State, and we were both playing number one for our team when we were paired with Ohio State. We went out and we both shot 71. And my 71 was absolutely his lowest score I could have shot. His 71 should have been about 7 shots better.
Okay.
And it was night and day difference. We shot the same score, but you know, he didn't make a thing and I made everything and had the same score. But you know, just consistency basically to answer your question. You know, that's what I was lacking.
Okay. And it sounds like, obviously, if you made a run at, and obviously, you know, if you make a run at turning professional, and obviously Ledbetter must have had something to do with that, to go from a handsy, inconsistent swing to working with David Ledbetter and then obtaining your tour card on the European Tour in 1989. So what changed when you started working with Ledbetter?
Well, I mean, he hit the nail right on the head. I went down there. I said, I'm going to be here a week. I'd like to work with you. And he said, great. And, you know, he watched me film me swinging, and we went and looked at the film, and, you know, he said, Gene, he said, I bet you 3 or 4 weeks in the summertime, you're unbeatable. And then the rest of the year, you're searching. And I said, that's exactly me. He says, well, you can't do that in pro golf. If you want to play pro golf, you have to be consistent all the time. And I said, okay. And I mean, he just started from the grip, posture, stance, everything, and kind of built it from the ground up, basically.
Wow.
And just you know, got me more, you know, a little bit shorter, more compact, you know, sort of what he did with Faldo when he was, kind of redoing Faldo's swing. And you know, he said, you know, Ben Hogan wasn't the greatest putter in the world, but he'd hit it inside 5 feet 3 or 4 times around.
Sure.
And, you know, we looked at a lot of, pictures of Hogan and Sam Snead and a lot of different, players and where they were in their golf swing versus where I was. And he just kind of shortened it up and got me so much more consistent. And I mean, within a matter of a month or so, you know, I was playing mini tour things, and here's these first team college All-Americans I'm playing with and stuff that we're all playing professionally. And I'm like, I'm playing right with these guys, you know, and, you know, I saw improvement, you know, right away. Yeah, it was a game changer for me, and I got a lot better quickly and just kept working at what he told me.
Well, and that's incredible. That, I mean, I'm just thinking about it. It's one thing for, you know, the average 15 handicapper to go to the David Ledbetter Academy and say, I got nothing. Just build me another golf swing, because this is not going to take me anywhere. You're a solid college player, and to hand it over to him and, as you say, build it from the ground up. What was it about him that really connected with you and his teachings that said, yeah, this is going to work for me?
Well, it was very awkward at first. I had blisters, and, you know, the grip felt funny and the swing felt funny and the stance felt funny, and,
sure,
you know, everything was different than what I was used to. And I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'4", and I think golf is harder for bigger guys just because you're not on the, you know, shorter and better leverage and things like that. So, but, you know, he's a very convincing guy. He's a great great guy and a great person. And it's he didn't have the reputation he does now. But you could tell he knew what he was doing.
Sure.
And, people were, coming in and, you'd be down there and then, Tom Watson walked in and one day and just, kind of spent, 30, 40 minutes with him. And then,
that'll get your attention.
Nick Price and Nick Price and Faldo were there a lot. It just, I think everybody was coming by to see who is this new guy that he's kind of, and then Faldo started having success and boy, Ledbetter stock just started rising and rising. But, somebody asked me not too long ago, they said, well, you spent a week with him. What did that cost? And he would put me he would work with me for an hour individually in the morning. And then I'd practice the rest of the morning, have lunch. And then in the afternoon, he'd put me in a group session with like 4 or 5 other people. And I did that for 6 days straight. And I don't think it was $1,000. I think it was like $900 and some for spending like a whole week with David Ledbetter.
That's peanuts. You're stealing. You stole it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, somebody asked me that the other day, but anyhow, I've run into him actually at the concession cup. We talked for probably an hour this year, and I saw him back in 2014, and we had a rain delay, and I talked to him for 3 or 4 hours that day. But he's just a really neat guy, and he's had so much success with so many people, from Lydia Ko and Michelle Weed. And I can't even think of all who he's worked with. Charles Howell, and been fun knowing him, and I've gone, other people, I'll say, I work with Ledbetter. That's kind of, your swing doesn't look anything like a Ledbetter swing. I said, well, that's because I can't do it very well. I try as well as I can, but I still can't get to all the positions he wants me to get to. So,
well, you've gotten to quite a few of the positions, obviously with your accomplishments. I mean, gosh, the 29 USGAs and the wins at the Porter Cup and the Terracotta and the Coleman twice. And so that's your amateur career that you went back to after playing professionally, but you had the experience of playing on the European Tour. You got your card in '89. So I'm just wondering, now that's kind of a fashionable path, and most notably, I think, Brooks Koepka and Peter Uihlein went the route of going European Challenge Tour to kind of backdoor into their PGA Tour card. So what brought you over to try and do that in the late 80s? Why?
Well, I had made it to the finals of the U.S. Tour School 3 times. And twice I was in 20th position after 4 rounds, 6 round. The finals are 6 rounds.
Sure.
And I was in 20th position, and they give 50 cards. And all I can say is I choked. I was a PGA West Stadium course, and the 5th and 6th round, I shoot like 77, 76, and I missed my card by 3 shots. I mean, if I just shoot par,
You're there.
I get it by 5 or 6 shots. And then it happened in Florida. I think we were in Palm Coast or somewhere, a couple years later. And I'm in like 21st place with 2 rounds to go. And I shoot 79, 70 something and, missed by 5. And, I think the reason I went to Europe was I think I missed the regional to get to the finals in the U.S. Tour School. And so I went over to there and I got my card. It was in Spain. And I think that was the same year Colin Montgomery got his card. And I remember playing with Paul Broadhurst over there in the tour
Sure.
school. And in 2016, I qualified for the U.S. Senior Open. And Paul Broadhurst, he was a rookie, and I was a rookie over in Europe back in '89, and he wins like the third tournament we played over there as a rookie. And I was just like, I remember talking to him. I was like, holy cow, you won right out, awesome. That's awesome, and he was real happy and everything. And so, after '89, I never saw the guy. Well, at Scioto in 2016 for the U.S. Senior Open, I play a practice round with Paul Broadhurst, and he has his son caddying for him, and I have my son caddying for me, and we're walking down the fairway, and I told my son, I said to Paul, I said, you and I were rookies on the European tour at the same time. And he kind of looked at me, and I said, and you won the third event out of the blocks. And he turned around and stopped, and he goes, what's your name? And I said, you wouldn't know me. I said, you wouldn't remember. I said, but I remember you. And he won the British Senior Open, I think, in 2016. So, but it's neat, the people you've met through the years, and you run into them later in life and things. So, that was kind of how I got over to Europe and played over there in 1989.
And the experience you had over there, I mean, gosh, how many countries did you visit? What was it like, obviously, in the late 80s, just playing the tour? What were some of the countries and some of the places that you played at?
Played Tenerife, which is an island off the coast of Spain. Mm-hmm. And then we were going to Dubai. And, the Middle East, I was kind of scared to death. The U.S. had just shot down a Korean airliner or something by accident. And so the Middle East was hot with political and military stuff going on. And I was scared to go. And the guy that helped us with our travel arrangements over there, he said, Dubai is like Florida. He said, it's just, don't worry about it. Just go.
Really?
Okay. He said, it's like Florida for the Europeans. I'm like, well, okay. I was just going to take a week off. And he said, oh no, you'll love it. It's awesome. And so we flew Emirates Air from London to Dubai, and back then, Emirates Air, they had a map of Europe on there, and it showed the plane going, across Europe. And we get to the Persian Gulf, which that was the hotbed with military action and everything going on. We're flying right through the middle of the Persian Gulf. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to get shot down or something. But we landed in Dubai, and, it's an Arab country, and there's guys in robes and machine guns in the airport in 1989, and we weren't in Iowa anymore, I can tell you that. And but it's a wonderful golf course. It's the same course they play that Emirates Dubai tournament now, and it was the first or second year they had it. And I remember making the cut there, and it was but now it was way out in the country from the city of Dubai, and now I think it's skyscrapers all the way to where the golf course is. Of course, I haven't been back since '89, but no, it was a real interesting place to play, and we played in Brussels and southern France. I remember playing with David Faraday. I was paired with him, and somewhere in southern France. It wasn't a big name town or anything, and I couldn't understand the guy.
I don't know. Not many people can still understand the guy, but
he had that Irish. He's a lot better on TV now than just his casual conversation. But I could hardly understand him, and where else do we play? I played in the Italian Open in Milan, Italy, and I played in Sardinia.
You've been all over, man.
I've clicked a few things on my passport. So,
there you go.
But that was a long time ago. It was a great experience, and enjoyed it. And then I came home and got married and quit pro golf. So that was the end of my pro career.
So you get your status back, looks like in around 1994.
Yeah, 94, 95, I think, is when I got it back. And I think the first pretty much event I qualified for the U.S. Mid-Am at Caves Valley, and was, thrilled to make it to that. And I actually, I was in a playoff for match play. There was a bunch of guys, 15, 16 guys for, I don't know, 6, 7 spots. And I was the last guy to get in, 64th seed. And I played John Harris, who had just got back from the Walker Cup over in Scotland. And all I had to do is 2-putt the last hole, the 18th hole, from 15 feet. I beat John Harris, and I 3-putted it. And then he beat me on the 19th hole. But yeah, I'll never forget that. My dad was there, and my dad flew out to watch the match play, and 3-putted that last hole to make the match go, an extra hole, and John made like a 40-footer on the first extra hole. But he's become a real good friend. So, yeah, that was my first back into amateur golf. So.
Sure. So now I'm just curious, you're playing this real busy competitive amateur schedule. You're not just the typical guy that tees it up on the weekends with his buddies over a couple beers. You're playing this national schedule, and also, you own and operate your own equipment company. It's one of the biggest companies in the United States as far as waste equipment market. How do you balance that? I mean, how do you balance the family, the work, running a company, and then playing this high level golf? It can't just be all talent. It has to be some sort of time management. Like what are your keys to keeping everything kind of in sync?
Yeah, well, back when I was a mid-am and younger mid-am, I didn't play that heavy a schedule nationally. I mean, I played national events, Porter Cup, and I played a few Sunny Hannahs and Northeast Ams and Westerns and that. But when I got in my 40s and stuff, I didn't play as much of that. But now that I'm a senior, and we're empty nesters and no kids at home and all that, as a senior, I've had a renewed life here with being 55, and we hit it pretty hard, I guess, the last 12, 14 months. So, as far as Elliott Equipment Company, I have very good people. We've got people that have been with us for 25 years and 20 years, and we don't have a lot of turnover, and I think we treat employees well, and we're very lucky to be in the business, the kind of business we're in. We work with municipalities and private garbage contractors, and cities don't go broke, at least not very often. Right. And there's always garbage to be picked up. So, it's a pretty secure business. We don't go up and down with the economy or like construction and things like that. We just stay pretty steady. So, it's competitive. I mean, it's not, a walk in the park, but, with the internet and cell phones and everything, I can, I can keep in touch, and just, we have very good people, and very, very lucky to be doing what I'm doing.
Sure. Well, and then the other thing, it's great for you to find time to practice and stay in shape and play with friends, and just the amount of people that as far as you can get a game with. But you mentioned Iowa, and you have had tremendous success playing in Iowa Golf Association events. Just to, recap just briefly, you have, 20 wins, including 3 Iowa amateurs, 4 Iowa mid-ams, couple Iowa opens, multiple-time player of the year. Can you speak to how important it is to have a solid and vital state golf association to support your competitive schedule?
Well, it's huge. Iowa is, we're a small state with about 3 million people, but it's a very competitive golf environment here. And the Iowa Golf Association has done wonderful in running tournaments and running the association. And we're a little bit unique in the fact that we not only have IGA, Iowa Golf Association events, but we also have kind of an Iowa tour where regionally cities and country clubs have tournaments on the weekends, and whether it's the Fort Dodge Amateur in Fort Dodge, Iowa, the Iowa Masters, the Carroll Amateur, Northwest Amateur, some of these tournaments, and the whole area gets around them, and they have these weekend Friday, Saturday, Sunday tournaments, and they count towards the Iowa Player of the Year points. Now they're not as many points as the IGA events, but yet their points count towards the Player of the Year. So
sure.
they get a lot of participation, and they're very competitive, and the best players in the state, don't play in every one of them, but they play in some of them, and it's just a real competitive environment. And the National Golf Foundation a few years ago did a study of golf and participation, and per capita, Iowa has more golfers playing golf than any other state in the country. And it's just kind of unique. Iowa has, I don't know the number, but several hundred 9-hole golf courses. Every little town in Iowa, I swear, whether they got 300 people or 3,000 people, they have at least one 9-hole golf course. And I've traveled the little towns all over Iowa in our business, and they are everywhere. And they get farmers and plumbers and whatever to come out and tee it up, and it just, Iowa's a very golf oriented state.
Well, and that's a great, segue into just like, how do we grow the game? How do we make it more accessible to people? And it sounds like that's the answer right there. Instead of big, massive country clubs and massive golf resorts and $250 rounds of golf, maybe we just need 9-hole courses that are community based and keeps and grows the game with the youth.
Yeah, I think you hit it right there. Golf takes a long time. It's expensive. It's hard. It's a tough game to learn and to go out and have fun and drink a couple beers and play 9 holes. You can get it over with in 2 hours and go on with whatever you're going to do. So, I think there's definitely a market for that. And you can play 9 holes quick after work and have your kids come along and whack a few. And it's a great family sport. But kind of the country club golfers even changed a little bit. I've noticed it at our club, in Des Moines here. They like to have a cigar and a cocktail, and, their shirts aren't always tucked in, and but they're the new millennials, 25 to 35 years old, and they support the club, and they spend money, and they're active, and we were just having this conversation in our Iowa Cup matches. It's kind of the golf isn't the same when I grew up, and the country clubs aren't the same. They have to cater to the 25 to 35 year olds that enjoy doing that. Sure. And that's great, because they're spending money and they're supporting the club.
Yeah.
So it's a little different, and I think the USGA is noticing that, and this isn't about everybody getting great and turning pro. It's just to enjoy the game of golf.
Sure.
When you grow up and later in life.
Well, and you mentioned the USGA. You were a part of the Mid-Amateur Committee for 7 years, back in 99 to 2006. And I guess another question I have for you. So you're a nationally accomplished amateur. You know, I've played in one USGA event. You've played in 29. So I guess, you know, between us both, we've played in 30 now. So, but, you know, I don't want any PCA in a competitive situation. There's guys at your club or guys in clubs all around the country that will shoot their 76 or 78. And, you know, they're not going to be able to compete with guys at your level. How do we get people that are shooting in those high 70s, low 80s to get them out and competing in state golf events, invitationals, things like that? How do we get those players to compete more?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question. Nobody cares what you shoot but you. And I think a lot of people are afraid to, you know, post a score, or, you know, what if I play bad? I'll be embarrassed. But you know, nobody cares about it but you. I'm worried about my score. I'm not worried about your score. So, right. You know, I don't mind if a guy I play with shoots 80 something. It doesn't matter. You know, just go out and play. You know, it's so much fun to compete and be around other players and, you know, be around good players. I can remember, you know, being younger and looking up to the good players, but, you know, our numbers are down in our tournaments, in Iowa, our state AMs and mid AMs and things. And, you know, we're trying to find ways to get the guys to be active and join and play. And, you know, we tried to have some IGA events that were handicap net events, and it just never got off the ground. But, you know, I think golf is looking at these subjects and trying to, you know, just more ways to support the game.
Sure. So you've had the tremendous success as an amateur. You've moved, obviously, to after you're turning 55, you're playing a lot of senior events. You've played in, you've won in Canada. You've won, you've won the Transmiss. You've won the Crane Cup. What is next for you? What is the most enjoyable tournament or stretch of tournaments that you're still looking forward to compete and play in?
Well, you know, we're very lucky there's so many great national tournaments at great, you know, venues, the Crump Cup at Pine Valley, the Coleman at Seminole, the George Thomas at Elliott Country Club. You know, it's just wonderful to play in some of these events at these great golf courses. And you know, I finished second in the British Senior last year over at Sunningdale, and Sunningdale was just wonderful, you know, just a wonderful place to have an event. And you know, I look forward to all these tournaments, and the U.S. Seniors at Eugene Country Club in August, and looking forward to that. And I'm going to go back over to the British. It's in Wales at Porthcawl, the British Senior. And I mean, it's just very lucky just to, you know, show up at these places and to play them. And you know, I guess my goals are, you know, I'd love to, you know, win a USGA event, and you know, the British Senior Amateur is a big event. And, you know, I'm just trying to get better, and you know, turning 55, you know, it's kind of, there are so many senior golf tournaments all over the country. You could play 50 tournaments a year if you wanted to, but, you know, I try and play in the best ones against the best competition.
Sure. So, well, speaking about the best competition, I can't let you go without you giving me a story about your, one of your 4-ball partner, a fellow Iowan that is always up there on the leaderboard with you. Give me a good Mike McCoy story.
A good Mike McCoy story. So he had been dating a gal, and he was supposed to go somewhere with this gal, and they broke up. and it's like 8:30 at night, and we're sitting in our great room, and Mike looks at me and he says, the Lupton Cup starts tomorrow down in Chattanooga at the honors course. And I said, yeah. And he says, I don't have to go to this thing anymore. He says, I wonder if I can get there. So he calls the honors. He calls, I can't think of his name right this second, but,
tournament director.
Tournament director, and says, hey, can I get in tomorrow? And, the guy says, oh, geez, let me check. And so hey, we can put you at the last group at 2:00. He says, I'll be there. Mike says, I'll be there. Now we're in Des Moines, Iowa, 8:30 at night, on Thursday night. Tournament starts Friday. And, so I get online. I said, Mikey, there's a 6:00 flight to Atlanta. You land in Atlanta at 9:00. You drive up to Chattanooga a couple hours, you be there by, 1:00 and tee it at 2:00. And if he didn't do that and go win the darn tournament.
Oh God.
Yeah.
This is a national amateur invitational. First of all, to clarify for people listening, the Lupton isn't just like your local Kiwanis Club 9-hole league. It's not like you just show up. It's a national event. So he just oh God, really?
Yeah, literally. We were just sitting there in our living room, and I got online. I said, yeah, there's a flight tomorrow morning, and get down there, you get to Atlanta at 9, you drive up there, you be up there for lunch, have a sandwich, go tee it, and he played well and won the Lupton. So that's Mikey for you.
Wow. Well, we'll have to see if we can get Mikey on here to get a good Gene Elliott story out of him at some point. So what was your biggest surprise or shock when you started playing senior events? I've talked to a lot of guys here in South Florida that are kind of in that, 45 to 48 range, 49, where, they're having a little bit of a tough time competing against the mid-ams in their, mid-20s, early 30s, and they're kind of looking at the calendar and seeing that the 50th birthday or the 55th birthday, for that matter, is coming up soon. Did you have any kind of preconceived notions on how you were going to do in senior golf, and did you have any sort of a rude awakening when you got there?
Well, you're right. When you're in your 40s and early 50s, you're competing against these 25 to 30-year-old kids, I call them.
Yeah.
That they're hitting it 50 yards by you, and it's a different ball game, and it is hard to be competitive. In Iowa, our state golf association, a senior's 50. So I had played some of the our state senior am and senior match play, and had a little bit of taste of that. But I saw a lot of my friends that were older and playing, going and playing the British senior am and playing in the U.S. senior am and having success, and they were all good friends of mine, and so I was kind of looking forward to joining them again, and so when I'll back up. I thought about this a little bit, not that I took it super serious, but I've always been saying I need to get stronger and better shape and all those kinds of things. And I thought, I'm going to be turning 55 in a year or so. And I need a personal trainer to just get a little stronger. And, all the guys on tour, physical fitness and I've always been an active guy and that kind of thing. But
sure.
So I sent a blind email to the Y, the Des Moines Y. And I said, hey, I'd like to work with a personal trainer. I'd like to get a little stronger for golf. And, a day or so later, I get an email back from this guy. He says, oh, tell me what kind of golfer you are. And I thought, well, what do I say? And I said, I'm going to tell him flat out, I was just player of the year in Iowa. I've been the Iowa Golf Hall of Fame. So I let him have it.
Sure.
And he kind of emails back, whoa. He says, he goes, I'll train you. And, so anyhow, I go to the, first couple training sessions with him, and he likes golf a lot, and his name's Tim Sukon, and I said, Tim, I just need to get stronger and better. I'm going to be turning 55. I can play all this, national senior stuff. And I said, I just need to get in better shape. And he says, well, Gene, round is a shape.
Oh,
And
wow.
I said, he was just giving me crap.
No, that's great. That's the kind of guy you want. Just, just kicking the ass a little bit.
We've been buddies ever since. And I've worked out with him now for a little over 2 years, and he hasn't hurt me, and he keeps me strong enough and my stamina. And I really think he's helped. And I started, the other thing I did was I started working with an old friend, Chris Foley, on my putting. And I think I've putted better in the last couple of years than I ever have. And then Ken Shaw, local Des Moines teacher here. He has his own studio. He had his PGA Tour card and a great player. And I've been working with Kenny on my swing the last 3-4 years. So, between them and just kind of turning 55, it's just kind of all gelled. So I'm not that smart to there wasn't a grand scheme plan here. It just kind of all happened. Chris Foley, I just talking to him, I said, I need to help with my putting. Do you work on putting? He said, oh yeah. So, he's really helped. And then Kenny I've known for decades, and then Tim, my trainer, it's just been great. So,
this is really good stuff, because I guess what I'm taking away from this is you're at very close to let's just say it, you're at the top of your game as far as senior amateurs around the country. There's a handful of guys and you're one of them. And still you're working with a trainer, you're working with a putting instructor, you're having someone look at your swing. If you want to compete at whatever level it is, you have to work with someone. You have to have people helping you. It's not just I go out, hit a few balls, I hit a few chips and putts, and off I go and I shoot 68. So how important is it that you have, obviously you have to have a team with you. You have to have some people that are working with you.
Yeah. And I think it has made the difference. And that's one thing that Mike McCoy, he's always, he works hard at his game, and he practices hard. And I've just never been that big of a practice guy. And Mikey has, through the years, has pushed me. He's always pushed me in golf and hey, let's go play this tournament. Let's go play that tournament. And now that I was going to be turning 55 a year before him, and I thought, I got 1 year without McCoy, so I better make it good. So, I did start to work on my game a little bit, and I didn't want to come out as a senior and just suck. I wanted to be good. That's
the best. That's just the best tagline of the episode right there. How'd you approach that? I didn't want to suck.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to be good. Chip Lutz is a great friend, and he's won 3 British seniors and a U.S. senior and all kinds of other stuff. And I wanted to see how well I could do.
Yeah.
I wanted to put a little effort into this, and
sure.
And I've had some success, and I'd like to continue it. So,
I'm sure you will. We're going to get you out of here with just a couple quick bucket questions here at the back of the range. These are just random. So let me start with a couple right here. Should there be a U.S. mid-senior event, a USGA mid-senior event for people that are 40 years and up?
Sure. I think it's a great idea. Brings more people to the game.
Okay. Jack Nicklaus won the Masters in 1986. Take that victory, compare it to a potential 5th green jacket of Tiger Woods. Which would be the more substantial victory?
Well, I think with although the 86 Masters we'll never forget watching that. Tiger. I think if Tiger did this after his surgeries and everything, it'd be historic.
Okay. Let's see. You can give a major championship to anyone in history, alive or dead, male or female. They could have no majors. They could have 18 majors. Can't give it to yourself. Can't give it to McCoy. So I have to put all these prerequisites here, all these disclaimers, because I've had people want to give them to their parents and themselves and their buddies. But who would you give a major to?
I think I'd give the Masters to Rory, so he completes the Grand Slam.
Okay. That's okay. So you give it to Rory instead of giving the Open to Phil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd give it to Rory.
Okay. We won't go there. Okay. Well, Gene, I really, really do appreciate the time. Just a lot of great stories and just fantastic achievements on your part through your amateur career. Looking forward to a great summer for you nationally as well as playing in Iowa. Really appreciate the time, and thanks for coming on.
You bet. It's been my pleasure, Ben. Enjoyed it.
And there you have it. Another great episode here at the Back of the Range. Special thanks to Gene Elliott for taking the time to speak with us. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and we'll see you next week for another episode here at the Back of the Range.